After securing the title in 1971 and coming close again in 1975, it would be another 20 years before Birr lifted the Sean Robbins Cup. Immigration remained a prominent theme throughout the 70s and 80s. While no senior title arrived in Birr in the period 1971 to 1991, the club's only junior title was secured in 1985. It proved a glorious period at underage level in the town, both in the club and the schools. In 1986, under the guidance of Brother Dennis and Pádraig Horan, and captained by Michael Hogan, St Brendan's Community School won the Hogan Cup as they were crowned All-Ireland's Colleges Senior A hurling champions. St Brendan's backbone the All-Ireland winning Offaly minor teams of 86, 87 and 89, and in 1998, 15 of the panel which secured Offaly's last All-Ireland title were past pupils of St Brendan's. In 1991, Birr regained the Senior Hurling Championship title, defeating Clarine, and were to embark on the most successful period in the club's history, adding the Leinster club title later that year, defeating Kilkenny's Ballyhale Shamrocks. They continued to an All-Ireland club final where, in their first appearance, they were defeated by Kiltormer of Galway. Between 1991 and 2008, Birr would go on to win 12 county titles, 7 Leinster senior club titles and 4 All-Ireland senior club titles. Let us hear from the only Tipperary member of the successful 1979 to 1980 Presentation Brothers team, who subsequently coached this 1991 team, in conversation with team member Daithí Regan.
That was quite a scary day, meeting Brother Dennis for the first time, enrolling into Presentation College Birr, a very famous college. And, you know, my father, of course, being my father, he had me wound up before we went in. You know, you're going to meet a great Cork man here now. Liz for hurling, he's going to be interviewing you now, you know, as to your prowess as a hurler. We started off our hurling education under Brother Cronin, a fantastic coach. The biggest memory I have from Presentation College Birr particularly is the Brothers Field. The Brothers Field behind the County Arms in Birr. Huge memories of that field. Even, you know, I've done a few warm-up sessions with a few of the teams over the years, and the hair still stands on my head because of the fact I go in there. The greatest games I ever played were in there. But fantastic memories, something I was always cherish. And to be on teams that won juvenile Leinster championships, and then, you know, to go on to the senior team and win the first ever Leinster A championship in 1979. You know, I was the only tip man. There was 14 Offaly lads and myself. Probably some of the greatest days of my life. And I suppose the thing in the back of my head is the entrance of an Offaly hero, you know, as a teacher in the school, woodwork teacher, and that's Pádraig Horan. So, you know, there were some great men there. Michael Queally, you know, a fantastic interest in hurling, and Clare man, you know, to his fingertips. And, you know, the late Jimmy O'Neill.
And Brother Dennis, that was it. It was hurling, and that was it. And it's so missed now in the community school, and we were blessed then when Pádraig came in and took it on. Firstly, he had the aura about him, about an All-Ireland winning captain, and you looked up to him, and we looked up to him. And he was a very, very passionate man. So, as a young fella in school, you got the skills from Brother Vincent. And Pádraig Horan should never be underestimated in the Birr club for what he brought to the Birr players and to the guys that he coached at an underage. He brought a bit of steel to you. You know, if you had an injury, you broke a finger or something like that, there was no such thing as I'm out for 6 weeks with Pádraig Horan. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, you're grand. We got beaten by Northmont in 85 after a replay in the All-Ireland. We drew with them in Portlaoise and thought we had it made. You know, we drew with Northmont. That was, they murdered us down in Limerick. So I always remember Lord of Mercy and Benny Dwyer, Victor Dunn, Gary Cahill, myself. I think there was 5 of us. we'd all got rubbish leaving certs anyway, so we kind of said we've made a pact, we'll all repeat together, and we listen, before we finish, it was a holy grail for Brother Dennis to win. The lads have been unlucky previous to that, so a little bit like that, I'd go and meet Brother Dennis, and I sat down with him, and he said, now, don't think you're just coming back for the hurling. I went, absolutely not, brother, you know, I want to get a good leaving cert, you know. He says, but the hurling is important, you know. And I says, I know that, brother, as well. And whatever way he asked me the question about my age or date of birth, I misunderstood him, and I gave the age that would have given me for being overage for the championship. And he said, what? And I went, oh no, sorry, brother, I'm actually, it's whatever way it was mixed up. And he realised then I was going to be underage. So straight away he went, hurling is vital to this school, you know. So we knew straight away, but and it was amazing. The first time we played was in Laois, and there was a lot of inter-club rivalry time between Birr and Rhinus. Huge inter-club rivalry. From the time we were 12 years of age, without demeaning any other club, I can only ever remember playing Rhinus, because every year we played them in every A final, 12s, 14s, 16s, minors, under 21s. I never recollect playing against another club from 12s to 21s in a county final except Rhinus. So the first day he got us in Borris and Ossory, like Michael Dignan and Ryan Mannion and Peter Allen and Alan Kelly and these guys to us were sworn enemies. Absolutely, there would have been no conversation. There would have been a very deep bitterness at a young age, ingrained by certain individuals in both clubs, you know, who were dyed in the wool Birr, and you hate the Rhinus and you hate Birr and that type of thing. But Padjo got us into the dressing room the first day we sat down, and I always remember he says to Michael Dignan, get out of there, get over there, you're sitting beside Dottie Regan. Ryan Mannion, get out of there, you're sitting beside Gary Cattle. Damien Gagan, you're sitting beside Alan Kelly. And that was it, and that's the way he started. And we've lifelong friends ever since, to soldier the whole way through, and we've had great battles up the years, but inherently between Birr and Rhinus there's always a great respect.
We won our first county championships in 1971. Terrific final. The Rhinus, obviously, bogey was put to rest in the semi-final, which was a tremendous semi-final, I remember it well, and we got through, but we had one hell of a battle against Clarine in that 91 final, and of course Paddy Kerwin came up with the 70 or the 65 as we call it now, the final score of the game on a very wet day again, but the atmosphere in Birr was unbelievable that day. I'll never forget the crowd coming in the pitch, and you know, this is one of the reasons that we would love to see Birr as the fulcrum of Offaly hurling again, particularly, you know, in the hurling scene, because fantastic atmosphere, tremendous games, players like Matt Finnan and Paul Murphy came to the fore and contributed hugely, of course, to the success of the Birr hurling team. They needed that bit of experience. You needed that sort of bit of steel, and Paul Murphy provided that and Matt provided. But there was a number of players in that category. Louis Vaughan was there, and he was always involved, and a great club man, you know. And particularly for that Leinster club final, it was an 11th hour sort of change. Famous semi-final against Buffer's Alley. So, and that was another day when Daithí met fire with fire. Buffer's Alley had won the All-Ireland Club Championship in '89. A hugely experienced team. We met him over in Nolan Park. A great game of hurling, but it was dog eat dog. Tony Dorn, Tom Dempsey, all those guys, the butlers, and they would not give an inch, and there was warfare at half time. We walked in and Tony Dorn was trying to intimidate the referee, and I came in and I said, now Tony, I said, you know, you look after your own job, and there was helter-skelter, and we stood eyeball to eyeball, and we met up afterwards after the game. In fairness to Buffer's Alley, you couldn't meet better. Daithí fought on his knees, ended up unfortunately getting the line. We got to the All-Ireland Club final that year, and unfortunately we lost to Adrian Cahill along the way, but we were beaten by Kiltomer, who had come through a 3-game struggle with Cashel. And I remember we beat Cushendall. We had a fantastic win above, in the Glens. Beat Cushendall. We came back out to the coach. That time there was no mobile phones or no fast way of finding out how games went. And I remember the match finished in a draw in Dublin. The one great memory I have of that All-Ireland Club final was Gary Catt at left half back. He was fantastic. And I remember the lads saying to me after the game, it was worth the admission price alone to come in and see him score the 2 points he scored from left half back. The one memory I have, Daithí, is down to Hogan's, and God rest Noel, Hogan's father. He was a great man, and we lifted Noel shoulder high into the pub, and the pride in his father's face, I'll never forget it, walking in there. So I suppose, memories are made of things like that,
1990 was critical, and it was a learning curve for Birr, and they really gave St. Ryan a socks of it in the final. And I always remember Mick Hogan was playing full back marking Keneally, and of course Keneally had a reputation as being a hard man. And I can remember at one stage in the second half, the ball in around the square, and instead of Mick in around the square protecting it, he was over near the sideline, walking Keneally, Micheál, over to the sideline with the hurl under his chin. And I never forget it, Micheál just, you don't want to mess with Miko, to be honest with you. As tough as you are, you don't mess with Miko. And one thing that always struck me, and I'll always remembered about Ken, was in '93, when he lost an All-Ireland semi-final to Galway. And you would have that moment in the first half. We were training the following night. And I can remember there was a poor turnout of training, and there was a poor turnout of training on the basis that, well, we don't have to worry about it. The selectors will be taking it tonight. Tippett just lost an All-Ireland semi-final. Ken isn't going to be in the best of form. Listen, we know he's not going to be here tonight. The Tip lads will all be together, and he was the first man in the field. And that to us showed us the professionalism. Now, you weren't in great form when he came in, and he was in worse form when he seen the turnout that was there. So he absolutely grewled it. But it spoke volumes of, exactly what managing a team meant to Ken, like very, very professional man in training a team. We've seen that then subsequently over the years. So we were very blessed that we had a young bunch of players. But at the time, we were actually going nowhere until Ken came in. Subsequently, of course, Pádraig Horan came in. And again, no more than that, Pádraig Horan probably never got the accolades because of the subsequent successes and the back-to-back. Pádraig Horan was a real winner when he came in. Very different to Ken in his mythology, is how he trained the team and that, and probably a lot more gruffer and, rougher and tougher in his mannerisms and the whole thing. But again, in his own way, he commanded respect. The best feeling I ever had in my life when the final whistle went was 1998, when we won a Club All-Ireland. Nothing ever came close to it. I was so emotional coming into it after Tom Erity had died in the semi-final. And I give great credit to Paddy O'Whelan for what he'd done, or for actually what he didn't do in the dressing room beforehand. It was a very emotionally charged week leading up to the game. Joe was captain, but I was never